Once upon a time, in a lush and vibrant garden, deep within a patch of fertile soil, there lived a lone seed named Sid. Now Sid was no ordinary seed. No siree, you see. Sid had a reputation, a really bad reputation. Why he was known as the bad seed? Why, you ask? Well, let me tell you. When Sid first sprouted, he didn't emerge as your typical seedling. Oh no. From the get-go, he was a handful, a tiny tyrant ruling over his little patch of dirt with an iron fist. His first act as an independent sprout was to steal the sunshine that had been nourishing his neighbor, Lily the lavender. "All this sun is mine," he declared, wilting Lily in protest. And that's just the start of it. As Sid grew, so did his list of misdeeds. He bullied the sunflowers, hogging all the water for himself. He tormented the tomatoes, stealing their food and leaving them hungry. And when the berry buddies tried to make him berry nice, he simply shrieked, "Get lost, you pesky bushes." So you can understand why everyone in the garden avoided Sid. They were all pretty scared of him. The poor rose bush didn't even bloom until Sid was moved to his own special plot, far from everyone else. One day, while basking in the sunshine, Sid noticed something peculiar. All around him, seeds were germinating, bursting into life and joining the community. But as they grew, they seemed to forget about him. The new sprouts played tag among the sunflowers, chased butterflies, and shared juicy gossip. And Sid watched them, a strange feeling in his chest that he couldn't quite name. Felt kind of empty, like something was missing. Sid tried to busy himself with chores, pulling weeds and digging holes, anything to keep his mind off the feeling, but it just made him feel worse. One evening, overwhelmed with emotion, Sid let out a loud sob. "Why do they all hate me?" he cried. And that's when Rosie the rose, who had finally bloomed after years of patiently waiting, floated over to Sid. "Why do you do them wrong?" she asked gently. Now Sid was taken aback. He hadn't thought anyone would ever want to be his friend, let alone talk to him. But Rosie continued, "I may not have known you when I was a tiny bud, but I know that you aren't bad deep down inside." Then she did something unexpected. She offered Sid a deal. "What if we help each other?" she asked. "You help me remember all the happy songs I learned as a seedling, and in return, so they'll help you bloom into the best version of yourself." Now Sid was suspicious. Was Rosie trying to trick him? But something in her eyes, maybe it was her bright smile, or the way her petals fluttered in the breeze, made him say yes. And so began Sid's journey to bloom into the best version of himself. Sid started small, apologizing to the sunflower sisters for hogging the water. At first, they looked at him as if he had sprouted another head. But then a wide grin spread across Sunny Side Up's face. "Oh, no need to apologize," she said. "We all make mistakes." And then Tommy the tomato approached Sid. Sid," he began hesitantly, "would you, like to share some gossip?" And just like that, Sid found himself accepted and even befriended by those he had tormented. Every day, Sid worked to improve himself, tending to the tomato plants, playing hopscotch with the berries, and even cheering up a grumpy old oak tree who had lost all his leaves. And Rosie, true to her word, helped Sid recall all sorts of wonderful songs. Together they sang, "It's such a beautiful day to bloom, bloom, bloom." And Sid found that singing and being part of the garden filled him with a joy he had never known before. But one day, while helping Rosie tend her thorny bushes, Sid felt that old familiar anger rising within him. He wanted to shout and scream and just pull out all of Rosie's thorns. But instead, he took a deep breath and asked, "Is there anything I can do to help?" And that's when Rosie stopped. She turned to Sid with tears in her eyes and said, "You already are helping me. You're helping me bloom. But I need you to do something for yourself, too." Sid tilted his head in confusion, and Rosie continued, "You want to know why I haven't bloomed all these years, Sid? It's because I was afraid. Afraid of what the world might do to me. Afraid of growing old and losing my petals. Afraid of everything." Oh, then she turned away, wiping her tears. "That is until I met you." Now Sid was shocked. He had no idea Rosie felt the same way he did. He had been so busy worrying about himself that he hadn't stopped to think about her feelings. He reached out and touched her with his leaf and whispered, "I'm sorry, Rosie." And Rosie turned back, her eyes shining with gratitude. "Thank you, Sid. Now let's finish these bushes." Died. And as they worked, Sid realized that Rosie was right. He needed to stop worrying about himself and start helping others. And so he did. Whenever Sid saw someone struggling, he lent a hand. He helped the baby carrots find their way to the surface, carried messages between the thirsty petunias and the distant watering hole, and even pulled weeds for the forget-me-nots, whose roots were too weak to do it themselves. And as he did these acts of kindness, Sid felt a warmth inside him spread like sunshine through a winter garden. It was the feeling he had seen in others when they helped someone in need. And Sid liked that feeling. It made him feel connected to the garden, like he truly belonged. But most importantly, Sid kept working on himself. He apologized to the sunflowers for stealing their sunshine and asked forgiveness from the berry buddies for tormenting them. And slowly, very slowly, the garden began to accept him, inviting him to play, to sing, and even to share their food. One day, Sid was sitting under a tree with Tommy the tomato when a cool breeze rustled the leaves. "Wow," said Sid. "It sure is nice to finally have friends." Tommy nodded, munching on a juicy worm. "Yeah, it sure is. But you know, Sid, sometimes I wish I could do more than just grow and ripen." Now Sid had never thought of anything beyond growing and ripening. But now that Tommy mentioned it, it did sound kind of exciting. He thought about Rosie and all the wonderful songs they sang together. And suddenly an idea popped into his head. He stood up and announced, "Well then, let's put on a show. A big concert where everyone in the garden can share what they love to do," and everyone loved the idea. The berry buddies planned games, the sunflowers prepared dances, and even the grumpy old oak tree promised to play his favorite song on the xylophone made from his hollowed-out branches. And when it was time for the show, the whole garden came together. They laughed, they sang, they danced, and they shared their unique gifts with everyone. Even Sid participated, and he wasn't the bad seed anymore. He was Sid the friend, Sid the singer, Sid, the one who brought everyone together. After the concert, as the fireflies twinkled overhead, Sid felt a warmth spread through him. He had finally done it. He had bloomed. As the sun set over the horizon, bathing the garden in a soft glow, Sid looked at the sky and whispered, "I may not be perfect, but I'm trying to be better." And somehow, somewhere in the vast expanse of the universe, a shooting star twinkled in response. The end.